Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce a dose of Buckley.
Cap.
You didn't notice that those two parts of the lyrics are in different tenses?
So, Dove Cameron's kind of this generation's Miley Cyrus, but like, on a much smaller scale in every way.
That's a pretty bad comparison, at the very least musically.
New Kids on the Block featuring a pile of old goobers bring back the time.
Some old guys make a new song that happens to be about nostalgia, and it gets here for clinging to the past. But not a damn bit of the lazy ass sampling from this year makes it when this didn't even chart. Piss on grapes, I swear to fuck!
Did you just tell him to piss on grapes?
Where the fuck did you come from?
Been here the whole time.
Number 7, and the Lily Allen Award for Most Depressing Upbeat Song goes to M. Byhold, Numb Little Bug. Look everyone, it's Baby's first existential crisis. I don't know, normally I would at least find this kind of funny, the juxtaposition of the dark, sad lyrics with the poppy music, but sort of like this song's message of not really being able to explain exactly how they feel, there's just something I find irritating about this song, and I can't exactly pinpoint it. Her voice, or the production, or the fact that the instrumental is just like 5 notes on a keyboard and a drum machine.
See, if these were what you were actually going to talk about, I would probably be skipping over this whole section, honestly. Although I disagree with you on the simplicity of the instrumental, especially since it's kind of just the production point repeated, but simplicity actually works, puts more emphasis on the actual lyrics because this song has much more lyrical focus.
Not to mention the fact that the instrumental is just kind of, bass heavy? Simplistic, sure, but those keys essentially serve as the bass for the track considering how low they are. In fact, why not play the actual chorus here?
A little bit tired of trying to...
Oh yeah, that's right! Because the string hits underneath her lines actually proves your point wrong entirely.
Wow, it's almost like you don't know actual musical structure or something.
Boon, he's a music reviewer on the internet. Of course he doesn't.
Okay, we've both.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Or maybe just how obvious it is. Gen Z pretending they're Magellan as they find out on TikTok that you can roll up a t-shirt to save space in a drawer or whatever has really lost its charm. I've got another song on the list coming up where it's a 20-year-old making it seem like they've discovered something new. In this case, ennui. But yes, this is how everyone feels. It's called Being Alive.
So? Who gives a shit? Plenty of people make songs about emotions that are normal as a form of expression. It's not about being some new discovery that it exists. It's about expressing those feelings.
I think you're forgetting the part where the song is about drugs.
Actually...
Someone's gonna claim I'm missing the point, that this is a song about antidepressants numbing you, with the line at the start about how they don't feel a single thing, wondering if the pills have done too much, and then later on saying that they started taking them because they just wanted to see if it would make them happy. But this isn't new either. We overdiagnosed and overprescribed pills for ADHD 15 years ago. And now we're doing it for anxiety and depression. Instead of just telling people who are kind of sad sometimes, that's life and there's no pill to cure it. 90% of people get up every day and go to their job that, at best, they tolerate, at worst, they fucking hate. They spend 8 hours there, then they come home and spend time with the same people doing the same things, doing the what do you want for dinner, oh I don't know, what do you feel like dance, watching TV or playing video games or scrolling through social media feeds, just killing time before bedtime. And then you do it all over again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. And you do it because the alternative is too permanent and means you'll never know how your new favorite show ends.
But all that really does is make your complaint worse. I mean, you acknowledge that your initial complaint assumed the song to not be about overprescribing medication for depression, but simply about this normal cycle of human emotion, and yet you're judging her for using an artistic expression to cope with it, while also judging the less healthy alternative that the song is actually about.
Especially since the lyrics expressly indicate that the medication is involved because it was her idea and not her doctor's, thus putting the blame on her for her own numbness rather than just the medical system. Look, maybe you're kind of being overly judgmental of a song about something that everyone fucking writes about.
Number 6, and the Kid Rock Award for finding a new audience to pander to after the old one gets sick of you, goes to Elle King, Try Jesus.
Oh look, another song that didn't fucking chart!
Does this name sound familiar? In 2014, 8 years ago, Elle King had a massive hit with X's and O's. a song about how she made men out of boys by fucking them, listing off all the dudes she let slide inside and then said goodbye to, and how she was so irresistible, this girl, that they just kept coming back for more.
So, you're saying that this person making a song about being in demand as a sexual partner doesn't make sense because of her appearance? And based on the fact that you just pointed her and dismissed the idea, it must be obvious. And the obvious thing that comes to mind is that she's not conventionally attractive. All right. That's going to get real problematic later.
This new song is basically the anti-X's and O's. The format's identical. Starts out by talking about guys she met in different cities and towns.
I met a guy outside Bozeman. He liked drinking and smoking. It was fun till he asked we could keep things open.
But in this one, it's bad that they're promiscuous and temporary.
So somebody can't have a different opinion about something 8 years later?
Not that these are actually the opposite, because you seem to have missed how she never says anything about being with multiple guys at once. You know, what keeping it open means. She even explicitly talks about leaving a guy in California for a guy in the UK.
Yeah, in the chorus, she even says they haunt her, and the song is literally called X's and O's. You know an ex is someone that you're no longer dating, right?
Besides, maybe she knows it as a red flag now because of past experiences.
So then she realizes the only load she needs to take is a load from the Lord.
Got me singing, hey, hallelujah, hey, freaking man. Baby, I don't need me anybody but him.
Imagine if Cardi B did a sequel song to WAP where she joined a convent and told everyone that fucking is bad and service to God Almighty is the only thing that she needs to make her squirt. That's this.
Yes, because as we all know, people never change.
Especially since the song paints religion as a new thing in her life, as indicated by the first line of the chorus. And, you know, the name.
That being said, I'm going to skip over the rest of this because, I'm not a big fan of the song either. It's generally kind of cringy, but my reasoning really has nothing to do with Elle's past songs. It just has to do with how dumb this song is on its own.
Number 5, and the Black Eyed Peas Award for making people think, wait, those guys still make music? Goes to the Chainsmokers. Hi. Oh, look, the Chainsmokers are back. Goody. After releasing music every year consistently since 2014, it seems that they took a break for 3 years. Why DJs who make songs for people to dance to might not have put out any music during a global pandemic when a lot of clubs were shut down, I don't know.
Okay, first of all, not even the most important thing here, but 2020 and 2021 are 2 years, not 3. Even being as generous as possible and going with the exact release dates of every single, the gap between P.S. I Hope You're Happy and Hi is 2 years and, a single month.
They also have a songwriting credit in 2021 on Used to Be by Steve Aoki and Kiara, featuring Wiz Khalifa, which points out another issue with your point. Other DJs and EDM producers were still making music during the time. Aoki's last album was in 2020, and the fact that most of his singles from the back half of 2020 actually works against you talking about less club music being made when clubs were shut down. People don't play the album in the club. They listen to the album at home. So the fact that the singles are his primary way of releasing music entirely during this time just shows that people still want varied house playlists from multiple artists, which means the Chainsmokers still have their audience even if the clubs are closed. You do know that DJs don't just work clubs, right? And, in fact, typically already separated from the general public in their booths, so maintaining social distance at an event that would call for a DJ is actually really easy. Not that, that's relevant to releasing original compositions, because you don't know what a DJ does.
Several other EDM producers were active during 2020 and 2021, but here's another reason the Chainsmokers hiatus is completely irrelevant to the pandemic. It was announced before anything was being shut down. Cancellations and shutdowns didn't happen until March, and the Chainsmokers announced they were taking a break in February. I suppose you could argue they had an idea of what was going to happen and chose to get ahead of it, but that's where everything else we said in this interjection proves you wrong. You would think that anyone else, would have chosen to stop releasing music during this time frame after the announcement of shutdowns, if that was the case. But that's not what happened at all. In fact, even the Chainsmokers had their soundtrack to Words on a Bathroom Wall come out in August of 2020. So the hiatus wasn't even as stringent as you said it was. And surely that logic you're using should apply to DJs making music for a movie soundtrack when most theaters were shut down as well. And if I can be quite frank about it, there's having an edgy sense of humor, and then there's this insensitive bullshit.
Oh, and you may want to tread carefully about judging an EDM track because I'm a bit of an expert on the topic. Just saying.
But apparently, during the break, they spent a lot of time listening to the Arctic Monkeys. I mean, this is basically Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High, but from the perspective of the other person, and with a few 2010s era EDM wubs thrown in, because they still think that's cool for some reason.
I mean, sure, kinda, but don't you think that's a good subject matter to write from multiple perspectives about?
He's a music reviewer, remember? And apparently, if anyone has ever made a single song about the same subject as what you're making a song about and it got popular, that's a crime against humanity, and it's basically the same song, even if it's telling a similar story from a different perspective.
Oh, right, I forgot. Todd the Shadows clones are basic bitches.
Play the same old songs. I know that you're different in your Air Force Ones.
Oh, and I guess maybe some Nelly popped on the pandemic playlist as well? Or maybe it's an attempt at some product placement, like the Chainsmokers need new shoes but can't afford them, so they thought, maybe if we mention a Nike product, they'll send us some?
Well, if someone dogging other songs for being about nostalgia, you sure did miss that the point of that line was an appeal to nostalgia.
And also, this is actually bringing up that nostalgia as a flaw. The main recurring line of the song that plays at the end of the stanza, where this is said, is, you always say shit's gonna change, but it never does. And bringing up playing the same songs over and over again is a sign of someone who is stuck in their ways and doesn't want to adapt to the world around them, which is actually a level of detail that differentiates them from the Arctic Monkeys song. See, Why'd You Only Call Me When You're High is about someone continually pursuing someone that left them, and for the most part steers away from saying that they were ever getting back together, with the ending interpreted as the narrator, who is the pursuer in this instance, getting bored, essentially, kind of displaying the answer to the question that the person they keep calling keeps asking. Meanwhile, in the Chainsmokers song, the implication is of someone who can't pull themselves away from a situation that they know is bad for them. They know this person is hurting them, but they are, in the song's own words, addicted to the positive emotions associated with being with them. So they keep going back. That's where the difference is. The Arctic Monkeys are talking about a situation that, as far as the song tells us, is really a one-way pursuit, while the Chainsmokers are talking about codependent behavior.
It's a song about being an enabler to an addict who can't change. I feel like there's some comparisons to be made to people still listening to the Chainsmokers, despite the fact that, even though they suck, they just can't help themselves.
Could have sworn you said this was a ripoff of Arctic Monkeys? Oh, so, you know, when it benefits your joke, it's the same as something else. But when it benefits a different joke, it's got a different subject matter. Right. Consume penis.
Guys, remember when you used to pay someone to sing on most of your songs? You should consider doing that again. Because, like seriously, you spent 3 years doing nothing. You couldn't take a couple singing lessons?
Okay, to be fair, they do sound like ass on this song. That being said, yeah, one of your examples is their biggest hit where it was Halsey and Taggart. So you'd think that since it was bigger than the singles beforehand that did not have Taggart sing, that would communicate to them that having Taggart sing is what people want from the group, yeah?
Or they just wanted to Halsey do it.
I mean, sure, but still, the point is it explains the direction Chainsmokers went when the albums and EPs after Memories Do Not Open, which is the album Closer is on, by the way, had more feature singer credits, but couldn't break into the top 50 on the Billboard 200. Granted, having no feature artists has proven less effective as well, and it could just be them, but we'll get into what I think of the real problem with what they produced is in a second.
Nah, just overproduce the vocals, mask it with an awful beat, good to go. I'd say that people could only love this song when they're high, but I don't believe for a second there's a drug that makes this tolerable.
Okay, so I don't actually think overproduction is the reason the vocals don't work on this album. It's a factor. The autotune sounds god-awful here for sure, but that's because autotune and falsetto don't mix. Like, Taggart's vocal register is low, arguably a baritone before even being a tenor, but because modern pop music apparently refuses to acknowledge the fact that singing low can be quality, people oftentimes wind up raising their register in songs like this. That's not what was done in Closer or any of the other older songs Chainsmokers made. They let Taggart sing lower. However, on this whole album, he kind of goes up into a high chest voice, and his high chest voice fucking sucks.
I'd argue it might even be a really, really shitty falsetto, like Louis Capaldi bad. And that's the thing, the production really has nothing to do with it, nor do I think it's even an attempt to save it, because like everybody used fucking reverb and processing. But it does sound bad, and the auto-tune does not make it sound better.
Speaking of not being able to sing, number 4 and the Julia Michaels Award for not giving this song to someone else to sing when you probably should have goes to Jax, Victoria's Secret.
I normally would be playing as little of the original song as possible, but it's going to be necessary to play more of the song in this entry for the purposes of critique, so apologies in advance if this video takes a while to come out because I'm at war with Atlantic over this one.
I'm sorry, but any amount of natural rasp to anyone's voice means that they just can't fucking sing now? This is another problem with assholes like you. Only one type of voice is allowed to sound good, but not every singer needs to be Mariah Carey or Usher. I'm sorry.
Yeah, real talk, that's the problem with these last 2 entries. I get what you're going for when you say her singing doesn't sound good, I really do. And I used to be far more superficial about what I thought of people singing myself, but... Well, I'm sorry, by your standards, Amy Winehouse is a terrible singer too, and I'm just not having it.
Is singing the only profession you can be successful at when you're not actually good at it? Like, if you hired a plumber who couldn't fix a toilet, you wouldn't go, well, I got shit slopping on my floor, but god damn, he's got a great message.
Nothing like comparing a job with an outright objective measure of success or failure in terms of job completion to, you know, art.
Actually, just think about that for a second. You have a lot of followers on Patreon, right? A lot of people like what you do on your channel and want to support it. Cool. Great for you. I think you suck, though. It's the entertainment business, my man. The message is part of what can entertain people.
And being bad can inherently be a part of entertainment as well, which isn't part of being a fucking plumber.
Not even for Mario.
Please don't bring up Mario. I've had enough of the Stanford Prison Experiment.
What?
Yes, tons of legendary performers had questionable voices. Dylan, Joplin, Lemmy. But Jax here is no Lemmy, even if TikTok thinks this is what rock music is.
Oh, so you admit that her voice should have absolutely nothing to do with any of this. Which is, you know, why you named the segment for her voice.
Anyway, I'm probably gonna get shit for this one because it's got such a positive message. But like Numb Little Bug, this one also has this funny Gen Z, look what I discovered vibe. Yes, everyone knows Victoria's Secret is bullshit. Most women's fashion, most advertising for women's fashion, all the photoshopping. It's from dudes trying to make women look like what they want women to look like. People have been talking about this and airbrushing people since at least the 90s. We've heard about the unhealthy lifestyles of supermodels. There's a line at the start where she says, I wish someone would have told me when I was younger that all bodies aren't the same. Kate Winslet spoke out about this happening to her in 2003. You were 7 years old.
I mean, I think you're missing the...
We've known about this for a long time. No one does anything about it, of course, because despite knowing it, we all still want everyone to find us fuckable. But this isn't some big reveal.
Okay, correction. I know that you're missing the point. The chorus is contextualized in the song of wanting to go back and tell her younger self this thing that the entire adult world knows. But as you pointed out, no one gives a shit about. With the goal being that we should give a shit and not continue promoting an unhealthy body image. And how seeing nothing but skinny girls, that's the important thing, on magazine covers resulted in anorexia.
Is it really on a 7-year-old to do a ton of research and find out how fake the fashion industry really is? If anything, wouldn't that be on the parents or society as a whole to not promote a more diverse body image? It's not about the fact that society as a whole didn't know about it. The song states that it's about someone individually needing to learn far sooner than they did. And that's not necessarily the fault of the child in this instance.
And even if you could, she actually calls her younger self stupid in the song. So she'd probably agree with you. Not gonna lie, big Grimskull vibes on this one. Hey child, just stop being groomed by the fashion industry, forehead.
Maybe next, you can write a song about how pro wrestling's fixed and they decide who wins all the matches ahead of time? Did you know a guy in Connecticut decides whether or not Roman Reigns wins? Holy shit, no, really? Whatever.
You know, I'm not even offended that you made this analogy because it fits your wrong interpretation. It's just... I'm sorry, of all the fucking matches you could have used, it was Roman Reigns versus Logan Paul in Saudi Arabia. Fuck, at least use a Lesnar match. The most evil thing you could have possibly done is remind people of Logan Paul's babyface run when Lesnar lifted a ring with a tractor. It's hilarious.
I guess everyone learns things when they learn things.
So songs about things that are obvious should be fine then.
Why do you keep debunking your reasons for putting songs on a worse list before we can do it?
Also, gotta love the usual, I hate body shaming, but I'll also body shame line that's always in these songs. Tough titties, Sydney Sweeney. Once again, you're not a real person. Be fatter or you're not being body positive.
That's not the point. That has never been the point. The point is seeing more diverse body types on magazine covers, and even explicitly calls out Photoshop as part of the problem. Like, this, even less so than when other people try to do this, has nothing to do with what the models actually look like, and even if it does, it's because the ideas being presented are something that is hurting the models as well. Because, fun fact, something we've known about for way longer than Photoshop is models hurting themselves in order to obtain the look they have, as confirmed in a Harvard study to still be common practice to the point where 81% of models report as medically underweight.
Sydney Sweeney is a real person, and as a real person, we as a society should want her to be in good health. If she's not underweight, cool. Then this song isn't about her.
And the rest of this segment doesn't matter, so, you know, just moving on. Fuck you.